2019's Escape Room is a wild ride with a bonkers ending, and you can say the same for its 2021 sequel, Tournament of Champions. From mysterious planes to the meaning behind those strange shipping containers, this is the ending of Escape Room Tournament of Champions Explained. At the end of 2019's Escape Room, we learn that the evil Minos organization behind the movie's killer game chose each participant for their status as a sole survivor of various disasters. As the game's master at the end of the first movie put it,
"They wanted to know if luck had anything to do with it."
Tournament of Champions introduces a host of new characters who, like Ben and Zoe, have done this dance before. None are particularly keen on repeating the experience. Soon enough, we learn about the qualities that got these characters sucked into Minos' machinations in the first place. Rachel can't feel physical pain, and likely face horrifying psychological torture during her game. Brianna survived a game featuring notable influences. Nathan entered the game with fellow priests to test his faith. By picking specific groups of people, Minos wants to test hypotheses about faith, pain, fame, empathy, and survival. They don't care who gets hurt in the process, and if it makes them a hefty sum of money, all the better. While many things still aren't clear at the end of 2019's Escape Room, we can say with certainty that Zoe and Ben aren't still trapped in an escape room when they leave the first game alive. But their victory is still short-lived, as we then see Minos operatives planning what seems to be their next game with Zoe and Ben's intercepted flight information. So while the two champions may be back to their old lives, that doesn't mean Minos isn't still watching them. And given the number of people involved in the airplane testing at the first film's close, it's safe to say that Minos isn't exactly a small-time operation. It's clear that Minos has people in the real world manipulating things from the outside, whether they're directly involved in Ben and Zoe's lives or placed on the outskirts to watch and report back. Furthermore, Minos is capable of both hijacking a plane and a subway train. One private company can't do that without some high-level connections, no matter how evil they are. What's more, since we don't see most of the dead characters actually die, there's no telling which players might have been Minos' double agents from the start. The players first suspect Ben after all. Could they have been right all along? Or is someone else pulling the strings? The deaths of the first film seem pretty cut and dry by the time that story draws to a close, but in light of the events of Tournament of Champions, we have to question everything. If Amanda can survive hurtling into an endless abyss, who's to say that other apparently deceased characters didn't also cheat death? And which ones might have been involved with Minos from the jump? In Tournament of Champions, we're led to believe that everyone except Zoe, Amanda, and Ben bite the dust. But how true is that really? As Amanda tells Zoe, if she didn't see the deaths herself, they didn't happen. Since Rachel checks out Theo's electrocuted body to determine he's actually dead, he's the likeliest actual casualty. But the other deaths are murkier. After Nathan saves Rachel from quicksand, he sinks to his presumed death. But that's how we initially lose Ben too. We later discover Ben survived to serve as leverage for Zoe to follow Minos' bidding. It wouldn't be surprising if Nathan survived too then. That brings us to Rachel and Brianna. We watch as a monsoon of acid rain assaults them, but the film quickly cuts to Zoe freaking out. The steam and smoke make it impossible to tell what really happens to them, which could be another trick. As Amanda says, if you didn't see it, it didn't happen. So are they really gone? What the heck is going on with Amanda? She shows up out of the blue toward the end of the movie, claiming Minos forced her into designing the game that Zoe just played. That's an interesting sentiment for her to express, considering Amanda doesn't come close to beating the game in the first film. As an evil organization, Minos doesn't seem likely to applaud anything less than first place, and Amanda was one of the first few casualties in the 2019 film. While it's reasonable to believe that Minos might force her into designing the latest game, especially since the game appears to be Plan B, it's just as likely that our innocent Amanda has been a Minos plant all along. While Amanda has mentioned her daughter, we never actually see any flashback clips with Amanda and Sonia. We do, however, see Amanda's time as a soldier, alongside the other characters' flashback sequences in the first film. The culmination of events at the end of the film feels way too easy, as Zoe notes. It's entirely possible that Amanda isn't who she says she is. For all we know, her daughter Sonia is a total fabrication, invented to hoodwink Zoe into cooperation. A massive display of huge shipping containers can be glimpsed when the characters escape the creepy bedroom. They're labeled NYC, BDRM, BCH, and BNK. These letters seem likely to be shorthand for New York City, bedroom, beach, and bank. In short, the escape rooms Minos throws the characters into during this go-round. At the top, of course, is our lone subway car. We also see a painting of an 8-ball, hinting that the original escape rooms might be in this underground bunker as well. The games have to exist somewhere, of course, but the scope of the subway car and the NYC room is mind-boggling. Zoe and Ben appear to get on a real subway platform and a real Q train, as we see it dislodge at the beginning of the movie. That's a massive feat to pull off. Any New Yorker can tell you that the MTA is a hot mess on a good day. But building, hiding, and/or inserting an extra track wouldn't exactly go unnoticed. To say nothing of how Minos lured the other champions onto this particular car without anyone else hopping on. The fact that Minos pulls off the subway heist of the century speaks to the connections and tech they have at their disposal. But it also tells us that reality isn't always what it seems. The subway car is likely a mix of reality and a few Minos adjustments. But what about the police station? When Zoe and Ben are on their doomed flight and Zoe questions how easy it all seems, Ben says, "You really think the whole police station was bullshit?" Yes, Ben, yes, we do. If there really was a raid on Minos' extracurricular activities, the involved parties would be hightailing it to a country without extradition laws, not throwing together another deadly escape room. So it seems like everything else that the news broadcasts about 4 found bodies and a manhunt is fabricated. That means the guy who steals Zoe's bag and compass at the beginning of the film is a Minos plant, who lures Zoe and Ben into the specific subway car. That also means his arrest is an illusion. Given how massive the police station is, this conspiracy goes dramatically deep. A staggering number of people must be on the Minos payroll. There are probably multiple cops pulling the strings and hiding evidence at Minos' behest. It's too big of an enterprise not to have those kinds of connections in place. While killer planes are certainly scary, learning a trusted ally is in fact a manipulative liar is even scarier. When someone talks to a therapist, they expose their vulnerabilities. To learn that their therapist is destabilizing their concept of reality would be devastating. Someone with deep-rooted PTSD from being trapped in a killer escape room would be especially shaken by this. While it's not abundantly clear that Zoe's therapist is involved with Minos, there are some pretty shady coincidences surrounding her. First off, there's the lighthouse painting in the therapist's office, which foreshadows the beach escape room. Then at the start of the film, the therapist encourages Zoe to take the trip to NYC with Ben. That's not entirely damning on its own. Part of a therapist's job is helping patients work through trauma to achieve some level of normalcy. Let's call this an orange flag then. Not quite a red flag, but not green either. From there, things get worse. Minos originally plans on hoodwinking Ben and Zoe with a hijacked flight. They move to Plan B when Zoe can't bring herself to get on the plane. What's Plan B? Oh, just a commandeered subway car? And what's the title of the book the therapist brandishes at Zoe while accusing her of finding clues in everything? It was called Free Will: How to Stop the Train of Negative Thinking. That's a little too much of a coincidence to not be a clue. It's difficult to say for sure what exactly goes down in Tournament of Champions, due to Minos' love of deception and digital trickery. The why, however, isn't so muddy. The escape room franchise might bear similarities to horror titles like Cube and Saw, but Tournament of Champions has a Hunger Games vibe, specifically the Hunger Games Catching Fire. Just as that film forces previous Hunger Games winners to do battle, Tournament of Champions pits those who have survived Minos' escape room against each other. The motivation for the games in both film series is simple. The wealthy view everyone who isn't part of their high-class circle as entertaining playthings. In the Hunger Games, the bloodthirsty elite are the denizens of the capital. In the escape room movies, it's whoever's paying for a front-row seat to Minos' deadly games. They say that money can't buy happiness, but apparently it can buy gladiator-style death matches. Through this, the escape room series critiques societal stratification and the way wealth corrupts morality, as well as offering a glimpse of the horrific things people can do with technology, if they're so cruelly inclined.
Our customers are some of the most powerful people in the world, but every year they demand more.
Among all of the perks privilege can buy is anonymity. Minos and all of its wealthy patrons are able to remain unknown. They hide behind their technology, torturing kids for fun from an ivory tower while everyone else gets their hands dirty. In contrast, Zoe and Ben don't have the luxury of disappearing behind a dollar sign. The escape room movies deeply explore what it means to be a survivor, and the lengths to which someone will go to save themselves. Who will fight for others, the series asks, and who will simply save their own life. The premise of the first film hinges entirely on survival. Each unwilling participant's sole survivor background tells Minos something about who they are. Whether it's Jason killing his best friend, or Ben drunkenly but unintentionally killing his friends in a car crash. But something about Zoe saving Ben continues to pique Minos' interest. While the rest of the Champions games seem to have been one-and-done experiments, Minos remains fixated on the concept of the survivor. Why else would they throw previous survivors in one ring to duke it out yet again? The rest of the survivors appear to be cannon fodder, as Minos' sight remains fixed on Zoe and the desire for her to build them a new game. Zoe continues to survive, despite the criminally low odds of living through the game. This makes her the perfect person to design a genuinely unbeatable escape room sequence. but she'll never agree to it, or so we think. Check out one of our newest videos right here, plus even more Looper videos about your favorite stuff are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.